What do you do when nothing in your day goes right for your favorite team? Do you look at the standings and do you start to weep? Do you start to wonder if every other team is going to start coming back to get you? Do you place the blame on the veteran defenseman, Mike Matheson, who makes multiple issues? Or do you place the blame on the sad, somewhat overworked goaltender in Samuel Montembeault in a brutal game? You lose 6-1, but that's not the only thing that didn't go right today. We got crazy news about Ivan Demidov and how he's not even going to be in the main 12 forward group as the team's leading scorer. Nothing has gone right today for the Montreal Canadiens, but looking forward into the next week, there could be a big change of fortune. There are some good things to come out of tonight as well. Maybe not in this game, but across the league. I'm here to break everything down for you, talk about the Demidov situation, what's going on, and even another NCAA update that you won't want to miss on this episode, so stick around. And I'm going to start with a little NCAA update. You want to get right to the game. I'm excited to talk about that. Am I really? Not really. I'm a little crazy right now. These videos late at night after these games drive me nuts, so let's stay positive for right now, right? They drive me nuts after losses like this, I should say. I love doing videos after the games. Don't get that twisted. I want to talk about this, Michael Hage. He's confirming he's going back to Michigan next season. Now, first off, there was a lot of people, especially in our live chats, comment sections on videos, saying, why doesn't Michael Hage just come and join the Montreal Canadiens right now? Now, this was when Dvorak was struggling mightily. Jake Evans was hot. Like, look, now it's kind of the opposite. Evans has been struggling a bit recently since signing that extension. Well, maybe not struggling, just not getting the points. Like we kind of expected that regression. Dvorak has been playing well, but Michael Hage has been so amazing for us Habs fans. Drafted 21st overall, of course, over a point per game in his freshman season. He was straight up. I mean, I don't think there's any argument he was a top 3 or at least top 5 freshman in the country this year. I mean, look, you can make some other arguments like James Hagens, who's going to be drafted very high this year. Cole Hudson had an absolutely amazing year. But Michael Hage has been so good, right? And the fact that he's going back to Michigan for another year is absolutely the right decision. I don't care what maybe some other people were saying. Oh, you can maybe burn his first year, bring him into the team now. He's young. His second half of the season, when it was more in-conference opponents as the schedule got tougher, he started to struggle a little bit more. He never really mightily struggled. The point totals are there, and that's evident. But again, he still has some time to work on his physicality, which is still not bad. Work on his faceoffs. Work on just improving every aspect of his game. There is no rush for this guy. We have lots of prospects. Owen, Beck, Oliver Kapanen coming up through the system as well. And we got Hage here. Who knows what the draft's going to say this offseason? Who knows what the Montreal Canadiens can go and sign? So I needed to give you guys an update on a positive note because we got to dive into some. I never like to make these videos negative. I like to stay positive, but sometimes on days like this, you just want to rant. You just want to breathe a little bit. You want to say everything that's on your mind. And look, this to me, we talked about this the other day. And this whole thing now is like, look, Habs fans, we're going to love Demidov. We're going to show him every bit of love that he deserves because this guy, not to hype him up too much, but he's like gonna be our best player soon. Like that's kind of what we're picturing, right? This guy's the best prospect outside of the NHL, and in his draft class, the only guy that you can argue is maybe a better prospect to Celebrini, who is very, very good. But still, Demidov there, he's the leading scorer for SK St. Petersburg. Just a reminder this season, he had 49 points. No other forward on the team had more than 45. Not to mention the fact that Ivan Demidov played less than 13 minutes in like 20 games this year. This guy barely got any ice time. He wasn't getting power play ice time until the last month. Rowan Rottenberg comes out and says, well, he needs to get stronger. He needs to play strong to play in playoffs. He's not strong enough. So I play 13th forward. It's something like that. Because why? Why would you play your top player? Why would you play the guy who led your team in scoring despite getting benched in a bunch of games, despite playing the 13th forward in a bunch of games, despite never getting power play time? When you don't play him, your team's goal per game average drastically goes down. The last game you scratched him, your team got shut out. Why would you play him in the playoffs? It doesn't make sense because he's too small, right? He's not big enough. Ivan Demidov's only 6 feet tall. He's only pretty jacked and is always in the weight room, as evidenced by what he has said and what every one of his teammates. So why would you play him? It makes no sense to play him. It makes perfect sense to run him as the 13th forward because that's just what you do, right? He's 19 years old and he's your best player. So you want to just make sure that he's insulated. He's actually just doing the Habs a solid. I'm sure the less he plays in the playoffs for St. Petersburg, the less likely he is to get injured, right? I'm sure that's his motivation there for keeping Demidov out of the lineup. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that he's not going back to Russia next year. Look, again, I don't want to be in here making these wild speculations. I think it's more than speculation at this point. I'm a little annoyed by this, but knowing that Demidov is going to be on Montreal next year is a huge blessing, because this team right now, they need that spark of offense. Now, offense is not the main issue with this team, but it is one of the big things, right? Coming into this game against St. Louis, this was a huge game. Right, Montreal's probability to make the playoffs entering this game was 49.3%. With a regulation win, that jumps up to almost 60. With a regulation loss, which is what happened, it dropped all the way down to 38%. And if we just take a pause, look at the box score, feel free to pause as always. There's not much to see. I gotta be honest. The main thing people are talking about is Samuel Montembeault. And I flashed this picture. I don't want to keep this up for too long, because I don't like to harp on this picture, because everyone has bad days, right? Everybody has those days. You know what it's like. You play sports, you have a bad game, you feel bad. I bet you no one in the arena feels worse than Monty. The dude has been so good for this team all year. And honestly, Montreal's not winning this game, even if Monty puts on an incredible clinic tonight. That's what I want to drill into people's minds. Yeah, Monty had a rough game. Should he have been pulled earlier? Maybe. That last goal was absolutely the nail in the coffin. But Montreal scored one goal. I just wanted to put that into perspective. Like, we scored one goal, and it was Nick Suzuki. I always have the highlights for goals. I didn't have this one. It was a point shot from Lane Hudson, who has 49 assists now this year. Caufield gets the assist. Suzuki gets the goal. It was great. I really loved that happened. It was a great play to tie that game up in the first, just a minute after the Blues opened the scoring. But let's be honest, Montreal was caught flat-footed from the get-go in this game, and that's what drives me nuts, right? You want to make the playoffs, you can't have games like this. You can't come out slow every single night. We came out slow against the Islanders. Thank goodness we clawed back in that game, pushed it to overtime, whatever. Colorado down 4-1, just like we were at one point tonight before it got even worse. And guess what? We clawed back in the third and got a point out of it. But when the other teams in the NHL are making their way, by the way, this is not updated for Montreal's score. And also, by the way, the Red Wings game was not over as of the recording of this video, but they were down 3-1 to Colorado. Go check the score whenever you're watching this video to see if Detroit won or lost, because that'll change the point total. Same for the New York Rangers, as they are also playing tonight. So this may be inaccurate by the time you watch this video. If it's tomorrow morning, if it's the 26th, and if the Rangers won, technically they'd be in a playoff spot, but don't forget, they played 2 more games than Montreal, so Montreal's point percentage is still going to be higher. Still, though, you got all these other teams climbing up the rear here. Phrasing, maybe? Should I fix that? Whatever, it doesn't matter. It kind of feels like that right now for Montreal, because you're starting these games with these horrible slow shifts. They were caught flat-footed for the first 20 minutes. It was a miracle Montreal was only down 2-1 after the first. And I always have faith. I had faith. Even when we were down 4-1, I was like, we've been there before. But then they just didn't pick up the pace. These road games have really been hurting Montreal. They don't get that same boost from the crowd. And you can tell 15, 16, and 4 on the road. They are now officially below a 500 points percentage on the road team. Whereas they have, 41 points in, 35 home games. So, there is a home advantage. That's what we kind of know for Montreal. But you can't expect to make the playoffs playing like this, right? And you might be asking yourself, Josh, why are you wearing the blue jersey, the cursed reverse retro? First of all, it's a nice color. Second of all, I wasn't wearing it during the game, so no, it's not cursed for that. I put this on because blue is how I feel. Blue is the name of the team that just beat us 6-1. Blue is how I'm gonna feel if these other teams, like the Blue Jackets and the Blue Rangers, end up jumping Montreal in the standings, because these are the games that you can't afford. The big question moving forward here now is, what do you do about the goaltending situation? Because Monty, he had a bad game. Again, this team doesn't win even if Monty had an amazing game, right? A couple of those goals, nothing he could do. Mike Matheson screened him on 2 of them. What are you going to do? You can't really stop those. You can't expect to stop those every single time. So I'm not putting the loss on Monty, but I am saying Monty's last 3-4 games have not been good. So we got to take a serious look at Dobeš. Now, he did let in a goal in this game, but guess what? It was on the penalty kill late in the game. Not really his fault. Another screenshot went in. Montreal, this felt like that zone defense stuff we were talking about at the beginning of the season, where there was no accountability for other guys playing for each other, hustling on defense, things like that. It just felt like the team was disconnected once again. I feel like I'm talking a million miles an hour, but you're familiar with that if you've ever watched these late night videos, because it gets, my brain starts to just run wild as I think about the upcoming week and how important each and every single game is, and this kind of stuff happens. So with Dobeš coming up now, Montreal plays another back-to-back this week, I think Thursday and Friday, and then we have a matinee game on Sunday. It would not surprise me to see Dobeš get the start on Thursday and Sunday, with Monty getting the net versus Carolina on Friday. Now, Philadelphia is our next game. That is a must-win game. They got spanked by Toronto tonight, and John Tortorella came out and said, oh, that's on me. I haven't coached my team to learn how to play these games. You gotta think, after tonight's game in Toronto, Philly's going to be coming out with a vengeance. Though, to be fair, the last time we said that, we still beat them. So that's the must-win game this week, because again, looking at the playoff standings, we got lucky. We got very lucky that this game against St. Louis was a game we could lose, because the Ottawa Senators lost in regulation to Buffalo. Funny, Jacob Bernard-Docker getting the tying goal in that one, 2-2. Tage Thompson, future Montreal Canadian, maybe getting the game winner, 3-2 there. The Rangers, again, haven't played against the Kings as the recording of this video. The Blue Jackets have been playing horribly. The Red Wings, again, down 3-1 to the Avalanche as of the recording in this video. Montreal was done some favors by the Sabres and by the Avs, potentially, tonight. So even if the Rangers do end up winning, and they might have won again by the time you're watching this video, Montreal will still have a higher points percentage and still theoretically be in a better position to land that playoff spot. But again, I bring this graphic back up. The odds are not there. Now, the fact odds can swing 20% with 12 games left in the season, that is kind of crazy to me, but it just goes to show how tight this race is. What are your thoughts on this game? What needs to be fixed? I could have gone into a lot more stuff, but the slow starts are the biggest thing. They kill Montreal, playing from behind every game. Like I've said in the last couple post games, it's not sustainable. You can't go down against other playoff teams and expect to win every single one. This St. Louis team is the hottest team in the NHL right now. They've won 7 straight. They've won 8 straight at home. Robert Thomas, Filip, Broberg, Dylan Holloway putting on a clinic against Montreal. Who gets the Mitchell Stevens player of the game? Absolutely friggin' no one. No one gets it tonight, but I'm hoping someone will show up tomorrow. Let me know your thoughts on this game, because that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. You're a real one if you made it this far into this video. I don't think I even took a breath throughout this whole thing. My face is going to go blue just like the jersey. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Josh Gosse. Get you in the next one, hopefully on a lighter note.